Good afternoon. We'll call to order the City of Murfreesboro Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting for October 25th, 2017. The first item on our agenda is a consideration of the minutes from our regular meeting from September 27th, 2017. Those minutes were supplied in our packet. Are there any changes necessary to those?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I think I noticed on page 13 regarding Oakland Middle School special use permit where Vice Chairman Halliburton made a motion to approve that permit. I didn't see in the minutes a second to that motion noted in the minutes, so you may want to check that and make necessary adjustments to the minutes.
Okay. We'll get that handled. Any other items with the minutes? If not, those will stand as approved. And next we'll move to the consideration for our calendar for the 2018 calendar year. If you would go over that for us, see, we've got a couple of options.
Thank you, Chair. So yes, part of the normal duties our board has is to set the calendar for the upcoming year. And staff has supplied two options, 1 and 2, with the only change the only difference being is for the January 2018 board hearing. So we normally meet on the fourth Wednesday, but there is a planning commission meeting that same day, and considering that some people will be attending both meetings, we wanted to take that into account and give this board an option to either meet on Thursday the 25th, and that's option 2, or the following Wednesday, January 31st, which is the first option. So if you'll look at your calendars and then decide amongst yourselves which is the best one.
January 31st is okay with me.
January 31st sounds good to me, too.
That works.
Do we make a motion for this, or?
Be best, yes.
Yeah.
Well, then I'd make a motion to approve option 1.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Oh.
There are none?
No.
Okay.
Right.
We will go with option 1 for our calendar.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll move to new business. We have 2 variance requests today. The first one is application S17052 by Sean Holt, representing New South Developers, requesting a 7-foot variance from the City of Murfreesboro zoning ordinance, which requires 35-foot front yard setback. And this is to construct a single-family residence 28 feet from the front property line. This is for property located at 715 Orange Blossom Court, and this is in a RS12 zone. If you would go over that for us.
Thank you, Chair. So as you said, this is located at 715 Orange Blossom Court. It is one of the remaining vacant lots in the reserve subdivision. This particular lot is located on what we call an elbow of the street alignment. So we're kind of indents like a bulb out, and it kind of limits the amount of buildable area for this particular parcel. They are required to build 3-car garages with a side entry, and with the required setbacks, they really can't make one of the house designs fit into this particular lot. So the applicant is requesting to build a house no closer than 28 feet from the front property line setback. So the lot size is approximately 12,000 square feet. The variance would be of 7 feet. And the applicant has submitted documentation or a letter attesting that this was not of their own making, and it's just really difficult in order to fit a house in this particular configuration. I don't have any further information to share. The applicant is here. If you'd like to ask any questions of him, that could help. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay. Sir, if you'd like to give us your name and any comments.
Sean Holtz. That's a pretty good breakdown of what I'm requesting. I'm not requesting that the entire house intrude, just a corner of it where the 3-car garage intrudes. Do we have that, or is it necessary to see that proposed plat?
It was part of the packet.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's it.
We were provided a copy of those.
You have a particular plan. Is this the design that you proposed to build there? Or it looked
Yes.
like in the application there was the possibility of there being two. Did you remove one of those? It said there was a right-hand entry and a left-handed entry, and then it was marked through.
We did. We looked at right, left. When I spoke with Ms. Rush, we decided on this one. This was the least intrusive of the two hands. Yes, we did consider that.
And there's no other design that could fit on this property?
In my particular catalog, no. I've built this house multiple times in other cities, and I'd like to do it again. It works really well. It fits the square footage of the neighborhood and the theme that's already set forth there.
The surrounding homes, how will it line up against as far as the distance from the?
Mr. Atwood had emailed me an email that would answer your question, and I thought I had emailed it to Marina, but
We got it.
we did. Okay, good.
I've received it.
We got it.
Okay.
At least I did.
It's got a few.
Well, and well, there's no house here to see that. I guess there's not. I'm not.
He's talking
I
about
see
these
that
flags
there.
right here.
So we don't have a foot amount for the other. I guess none of the other houses have a variance on this bulb, and so they'll all be within 35 feet from.
Well, the one that's next door has a different configuration. They have kind of a straight front setback, so it doesn't have that curvature that you see for this particular lot. And where the garage that would be the one impacting the front setback, it would be for that right corner along the bulb, the elbow portion. That corner of the garage lines up with the house corners on the adjoining properties. So they're all kind of in alignment, but this one is imposing on the front setback because of that cutout that's going into their front yard. So the garage itself is not closer to the street, if it looked like it was in the alignment. Does that describe it fairly well?
I would agree.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant or anything else you'd like to add? All right, thank you. At this time, we'll conduct a public hearing. Anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application, if you come to the podium and give us your name and address, and you can give us any comments you might have. Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed and open the floor for any further discussion or a motion.
Don't we have to approve these separately for the
I think this one is
35 and the 28?
35 was total, and he's going to need 7 feet from the 35. So I think it's just one motion. Am I correct?
One motion.
Correct.
No further question. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Are there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That application has been approved. Next, we'll move to application Z17053 by Kevin Atwood, representing Alcorn Properties. They're requesting 2 variances from the City of Murfreesboro zoning ordinance to construct an RV self-storage facility. This property is a flag-shaped lot, zoned commercial highway, and is located in the Innsbrook Town Square. The proposal is for a 29-foot variance from the minimum required front setback of 42 feet, and the second component is a landscape variance along the flagpole-shaped portion of the parcel. Ms. Rush, if you'd review that for us.
Thank you. The applicant and the property owner is Elkhorn Properties, and the property is the second parcel that's part of the overall Innsbrook Town Square Shopping Center, which the key tenant is the Kroger store that's there. It's located at the corner of South Church Street and Innsbrook Boulevard and Zone CH, which is highway commercial. As was stated, the parcel is a flag-shaped lot. For flag-shaped lots, per our zoning ordinance, the front, what would be considered the front setback or the front property line, is the property line that is parallel to where the flag or the pole would take access from a street. So Innsbrook Boulevard is where the pole actually touches of the property line to a public right-of-way. So the front property line then is the closest property line that runs parallel to Innsbrook Boulevard. The applicant is wishing, as you said, to install or construct an RV and camper self-storage facility. The office building and structures he's proposing would be as close to that front property line as 13 feet. And that is a significant reduction from the required 42-foot front setback. The second request is for to not have to install landscaping along the pole portion of the parcel. Our zoning ordinance requires that landscape buffer be constructed along the property perimeter, and for that portion, it is a drainage and sewer easement. The adjoining property has a very thick row of trees that would remain. There's not going to be any driveway that would be constructed through this pole portion. The access to the facility is through the back parking lot behind Kroger's. There is an ingress-egress easement that exists and cannot be changed, so they do have the right to access the property through that back parking lot. So there's no need to construct any driveway from Innsbrook. As I said, those trees will remain in place, nothing will change, and the applicant will also be required to landscape the perimeter portion of the flag where the development would take place. There is a drainage area detention basin on the north or westerly portion of the flag, and that will retain or be maintained as a drainage portion. They will have a perimeter security fence around the RV storage that will not impede any of that, and the landscaping they're proposing will be in front of and back of the security fencing. This does have to go through a site plan review and approval process, so will also be reviewed for those aspects through the planning department. So those are the two variances. They will need a separate motion for each of the requested variances from the board. Thank you.
Okay, just to make sure I'm oriented correctly, the 29-foot variance is from, it wouldn't be from Innsbrook Boulevard. That would be from maybe what would look the border with Kroger?
Correct. It's the border. It's where you see there's like a cul-de-sac bulb behind the Kroger loading docks in the back of the building there. So that property line that's next to that bulb is considered the front property line, and that's what they're asking for the variance from.
Okay. That's the side. There's the turnaround. I'm thinking that red line.
Are you referring to sheet number 3?
That's the way I'm interpreting it. 42-foot front. If they didn't have the variance, and that's where it's going to be afterwards. I guess to allow an office. The drawings show, I guess, a shed in the middle, and then paved around the building.
So sheet 3 does, it's sheet 3 of the site plan does show where the fence line would be and does show the setback requested. So 13-foot setback with the variance for the storage building and office.
So they're meeting what's necessary to the, I guess, the north, the RM16. Is that what that was?
Correct.
Okay, so it's just on the Kroger side, their access. They're looking for
Correct.
shorter setback. Okay. Anybody else have questions for staff? Or anything the applicant would like to add? Mr. Atwood?
Mr. Chairman, my name is John Gordon. I'm the engineer for this project. I think, as has been explained, the setback problem for this site is that the wording of how the setback is written is parallel to the road. So it's not 42 feet from Innsbrook Boulevard, it's 42 feet from the property line that's parallel to Innsbrook. So that's why we're asking for that. And then for the variance related to the buffers, this is based on the previous development when the Kroger site was developed and how the drainage was used then and how the buffers were put in place between Kroger and the residential area. It doesn't make sense now to come back in and try to add a buffer for an area that we're not going to be doing any development on. And that also needs to remain as a sewer easement and as a drainage easement. So we wouldn't want to put trees in that for the sewer easement, and we wouldn't want to put any impediment into the drainage area through there that might slow down the flow through that area.
I know this is not site plan, but can you give us an idea of the property line associated with the residential area? Are we gonna? What kind of fence are we gonna have, and what kind of berm are we? Maybe this is not the right time to ask those questions, but
Do you have the sheet one
Yes.
with a gray background for the flagpole and flag
Right.
part? So this is turned north is to your right, but the single-family residential is to the west of the property, which is the top of this, and so the whole flagpole.
I see.
The whole flagpole borders the existing residential, but we're not doing any work within the flagpole part of the lot.
I'm with you.
So we're.
So in behind or to the north of you are apartments?
Yes, and on that side, we do have some buffer requirements which are in our site plan. We're following the
Okay.
typical buffer requirements.
Okay.
Any further questions for the applicant or anything else? Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll conduct a public hearing. Anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application, if you'd come forward. So if you'd give us your name and address. And
My name is
comments.
Roger Massey, and I'm at 2923 Comer Drive. I'm also the Homeowners Association president for Innsbrook Subdivision. I came here just to make sure, because it wasn't that specific in the letter that we got, that the flagpole portion, which is a drainage ditch, which when it rains hard, it's like a creek, a river that runs to the Stones River. I just wanted to make sure they weren't going to try to build a road down there. Now that I know that they're coming in back of Kroger, where Kroger, if you can bring a 53-foot trailer in Kroger, you can bring an RV down that. And since they're looking at not developing anything in that drainage system, where Kroger has trees up, and then there's also a lot of trees that have grown up around the drainage portion there. Yeah, they shouldn't. If they were to landscape that, it's only going to impede the water going down there. But that was the big thing. I just wanted to make sure for our residents that we didn't have a road running down that flagpole, and that we don't have a building that's set back where they would tear out the trees and put it right up against our subdivision.
It looks like the structure that they're talking about building won't extend further west than that concrete turnaround there behind
And
Kroger.
if they're not even going to touch any of the, there's like a little revetment pond, a little pond back in there.
Right.
That it's a wet weather pond. When it gets wet, it's got cattails in it and that, and it's got big trees growing. If they're not going to cut any of those down, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I suppose my question would have been better asked of the applicant. With respect to the developer, Kroger, was that where AG comes? Is that AG's letter to the planners that the Kroger developers are in agreements with the request?
I don't know on that one. You know the letter that they're talking about?
In our packet, we've got a letter dated October 9th, authorization for variances signed by Robert A.G. To accept the correspondence as authorization for Development Management Group or Ken Knuckles to apply for variances. Is that your group, or is that Kroger Management? You know, what was the purpose of that letter, I guess? Does anyone know?
It was authorization that they could make the application for it. So,
But who is it?
But who authorized that? I mean,
Kevin, can you answer the? Oh,
Addressed to Matthew Blomley.
I'm just trying to get a handle. I mean, long and short, the management group over the Kroger Shopping Center, do they have any objections to this plan? Do you know?
And that I don't know. I know that we did find the cross-access easement paperwork correctly recorded like it was supposed to be, that allows the owner of Lot 2 to have access through the Kroger site.
Okay.
And it's
Lot 2
worded
is
about
the subject property,
cross-access,
right?
but not parking.
It looks like Robert A.G. signed it, so I guess he's the one that did it.
oh,
You talking about this letter?
maybe that this correspondence does not belong to this file. It might have been.
Oh,
River Rock
Yeah, that's-
Boulevard,
that's
which is
the
a ways
wrong
away from.
Okay. Never mind.
Up in there.
I just really was curious as to whether
That was a test.
One of the five passed.
what did everybody else
A
get that? Okay.
plus. Tim
Mr.
Tibbs.
Tibbs?
All right.
Yes.
No.
Thank you so much. You know your properties out here.
Okay. Moving on.
in defense of you, Kevin, you wouldn't have known. It doesn't apply to this.
We think it may be from another application or
Yeah.
something, so.
On the access agreement document that was created when it was done, there was a list of certain things that could not be developed on that property. We're not doing any of those things,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
There's no limitation with regard to that would include the business that's being developed here.
That's correct. No, they didn't want a pharmacy, they didn't want a restaurant, they didn't want, there were certain nightclub, anything that would cause excess parking that might spill over into their parking lot was what they were concerned about. And with RV stores, it's just whatever's there is there. So we're not infringing on any of the things that they specifically said we could not do.
Okay.
And back to your introduction of this in the first place. The whole 42-foot setback is the required in the CH zone, but that would refer to access on Innsbrook, where I guess the property actually borders where the pole is created. But you're saying, since that's not in play, this is why the variance is needed to come next to Kroger's.
Correct, yeah. The zoning ordinance addresses irregular shaped lots and how you determine the front and the side setbacks, and so they're kind of complicated. And for a flag shape, it's the line that's parallel to the street where the flag takes access from. So in this case, it's the line that's parallel to Innsbrook. And because it's so far set back from Innsbrook, it really is not going to be that close to the street at all.
Thank you. Sorry for the confusion.
I guess we're still in the public hearing. Is anyone else wishing to provide us any comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or motion. And again, we've got two pieces to this application. We'll do separate motions for those.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 29-foot variance from the required front setback.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for the 29-foot variance. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Or none. So that portion has been approved.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the landscape variance and required buffer along the flagpole shaped portion of the parcel.
A second.
Have a motion and a second for the landscape variance. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? There are none. So that application has been approved. Next item is staff reports and other business.
There's nothing to report from planning.
Nothing here.
All right. The next item on our agenda is adjourned.
Thank you very much.
So moved.